very much to Mr. Bharatlal and my dear colleague Manmohan Singh. Manmohan, both very good friends. Uh, Today, first, I would like to thank all of you and esteemed vice chancellors who are also on the panel. This is a very, very important topic on which these webinars are being hosted. I would like to share my experience during the COVID period, before that, and what has been the experience of COVID in education in Himachal Pradesh. I was Principal Secretary Education in Himachal Pradesh from 2010 to 2012. That time I had a deeper interaction with the education system, universities, colleges. Himachal is doing very well in education, as all of you know. We have a very good infrastructure of education, around 15,000 education institutes in the state. But what I realized at that time was that the teaching learning systems in the classroom or in the institutions were more or less same when I was studying in schools in late 70s or early 80s in colleges. So not much had changed as far as teaching learning system were concerned. We had the same traditional instruction systems. Then learning from the private institutions and learning from the government of India and the centrally sponsored scheme, there was a huge uprising for technological upgradation of the institutions in shape of ICT, where smart classroom and other infrastructures, network were provided to the colleges, universities, and the schools. So during that era, I think most of the classrooms were changed to smart classrooms. Already all the blackboards have shifted to whiteboards. We have multimedia presentations and also technological upgradation. The UGC, Government of India, has given a lot of fillip on, I think, technological upgradation. But most of the technological upgradations were linked with better teaching experience in the class. We never had an experience of having study from home except the distant education. So COVID-19, I think, surprisingly posed a very, very big challenge, that how do we conduct our teaching systems or education systems when teachers as well as the students are at home. I think that's a big surprise, and it came as a storm for everyone. I would like to say, narrate my own experience when suddenly the lockdown was announced and one was at home, one was free. I thought I must upgrade my knowledge and started looking for some courses online, and I found some courses on EDX, that is a MIT Harvard MOOC, and I found them very interesting. And I would like to share that I've completed one course and I'm already logged in with 2 more courses. And the experience is so enriching. The type of the content, the video, the discussion forms, the assessment. It is really, really, enchanting to see that how the MOOC system all over the world has enriched, and number of students are increasing. So the world is not going to the same the way things have changed. The second experience I would like to narrate is, I'm speaking from Shimla. You can see I'm wearing jacket. Others are having shirts. I have my nephew's son with me. He came with me from Ajmer. His school is very smart, and he's in class 4th. So when the lockdown was done, now they thought that what should be done, and they started their classes on Google Classroom. And this was my first interaction on Google Classroom, because I'm sitting with him sometimes and find that it is a virtual classroom. It's very interactive. All the study material is uploaded, homework is given, teacher is checking, interacting. Student can ask questions. So I find it very enriching that there are systems which have already replaced, whether one is at, he's not at Ajmer, he's in Shimla, but there is no difference in that, and he's joining with the other peers very seamlessly without any problem. So COVID-19 has given various new inputs to our system, and things have changed. But I would like to share, but the same thing could be good for one school or one institutions which are tech savvy. But when it comes to the government system and 15,000 institutions, like in Himachal Pradesh, that would be true in other states. I would like to say a little bit about Himachal Pradesh, that when the COVID came and the education system were disrupted, the Department of Education immediately rose and decided that we must work on this. And I would like to share a small PPT of the Education Department quickly, that what they have done. I'm trying to share. I don't know. Let me, the project.
You have an option called present now on the right hand side.
No, I'm trying on project now. Should I try entire screen window or Chrome tab?
So you can try entire screen and then you show only the document.
No, entire screen, that PPT is not coming forward. PPT is not being seen.
So if you show the entire screen, the PPT would be shown, sir. And then you need to click on share, sir.
No, that PPT is not coming. No, it's not coming. Anyway, what I will do is, I think it's not working. So I will keep on speaking. So I would like to share what has been done in Himachal Pradesh. Himachal Pradesh, when this situation came, and it was a unique challenge, that we have schools and institutions all over the hill areas, very remote places. So they thought about this, and Department of Education made a group at the state level very early in first week of April, which was a state resource group to finalize the content. And that content was made, and this whole new system was called Har Ghar Pathshala. Har Ghar Pathshala was the thing that every home should become a Pathshala, an education institute, and that content was shown on the website of the Department of Education as well as on other content. We took the system of smartphone-based e-learning system, because what we realized was that it wasn't possible to have laptop in every home in rural areas, whereas every parent had smartphone or type of that phone. So smartphone-based e-learning system has been started, where e-content and e-contents are shared by the teacher with the parents or students from class 1 to class 12, class 5 to class 12, and then they are shared the YouTube link of the e-content, and these YouTube content are seen by the student. The worksheets are shared with the students from the WhatsApp group, and also the queries and replies are given. And the system has been working so well in remote areas that you would be surprised that more than 2 crore pages of worksheets have been generated, because every day the information is collected. The classroom students, the WhatsApp group, number of students who are participating, everything is shared every day. And I think the work has been done well. Initially there were glitches because the teachers had to be trained, because they were not tech savvy. But once they started learning about this, and the parents had to be involved, because most of the time the phones were with the parents. And then we realized, because the parents as well as teachers and students were at home, the system was working very well. They found that something very useful is available at home to work. The content which was available on the YouTube, on the state website, was regularly being seen. Worksheets is being collected. So this has been a very, very enriching experience in the name of Har Ghar Pathshala. And I find that this is a replicable experience which could be shared in other states, because it is working very well. And in remote technological platform, like I mentioned about the Google Classroom, that's a very good platform. Any state can adopt a platform, any institution can take a platform, and that should be used. And then we have to have a right delivery mechanism, where the teachers training, the other infrastructure is required. If we can work on this, even after post-COVID, for homework, for assignment, for assessment, this can work side by side. And I think there are a lot of benefit being in the school or institutions or in the colleges, but there are a lot of advantages of online courses also, because the content is available. It can be reviewed anytime. You can recheck it. You can see the worksheet when your mistakes. You can work on your own pace. So I think the hybrid of both the things, the after post-COVID, the physical presence as well as online availability, both has to work in tandem for a very good e-learning experience. So I think Himachal experience of I could not share the PPT. Har Ghar Pathshala could be very, very useful and could be tried in other institutions and other schools and colleges all over the country. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Shrikant Goldi Saab. That was a wonderful talk, sir. We heard a lot from you. One few important points which I could grasp was, you mentioned how technology upgradation has led to improving the learning atmosphere. And also it was very inspiring, sir, to hear how you are leveraging MOOCs yourself. I think it's a sign of a true leader. Yeah. I would also like to mention, sir, that Best Innovation University has been pioneer in adapting the Google Classroom and other technology tools back in 2018. And it enabled us to transition into these remote live classes very easily. I think the takeaway from your talk, as you mentioned, is that we need to have good content, stable platform, and right delivery mechanism. Thank you very much, sir, for enlightening us. I'm sure these learnings will be utilized by many institutions across the world. On that note, I would like to welcome our next speaker, Dr. B.P. Shetty. He is a Vice Chancellor of Siddhartha Academy of Higher Education, Tumkur. He's been a professor of radiology since 1998 and a postgraduate examiner in radiology since 2002. He is also the president of Indian Radiology and Imaging Association, IRIA. He is an international journal reviewer, Medical Science, Ecuador, Spring publication. He is also an abstract reviewer, Consortium of Universities for Global Health, United States of America, and American Röntgen Ray Society. He has also received the Higher Education Leadership Award at the World Education Summit, Delhi 2016. I would request Dr. B.P. Shetty, sir, to address the conference.
Thank you very much for that nice introduction, and nice to see Dr. Bharatlal Meena, sir, as well as Rupa madam here. Okay, I just would like to say this COVID situation, how this COVID situation has changed the teaching and learning pattern of students, especially the medical students. I would like to say this is the fourth revolution of education globally. The first time we had what is called as a Gurukul education. The second we had that university education where the students used to sit within the four concrete halls and learn something. And am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Please.
Okay. Okay. So the third revolution was a distant education, and I would say the fourth revolution, what we are seeing today, is a digital education. Okay, this is the fourth revolution. And now the whole education has transferred from teacher-centric to learner-centric. So no university can say that we have the best teachers, because the students can access any teacher over the globe. You can get the best of the teachers from any part of the world. So those are the days. Like I would like to say give the example of Mahabharata days when Dronacharya refused to teach Ekalavya. Ekalavya became a much more greater warrior or archer than Arjuna. So nowadays we should realize that students can learn from anywhere, anytime, from any place, from anybody. That is the most important message I would like to give as far as technology in education is considered in the present scenario. So now what's happening, because from long time we thought education is giving data. So we thought we should give the data. Who is the Prime Minister of India? What is the speed of Earth around this axis? So how many protons are there? How many neutrons are there? What is the biological name of a particular plant? But this data collection has got no meaning at all, because nowadays if you see this particular mobile phone and you give any question, that mobile will answer that question within 30 seconds. So data collection is not education. Okay, number one. Then we thought it is teaching. I would like to teach. I would like to teach very much. I would like to teach, but it is not teaching centric. It is a learning centric education now. And the third, we thought it is giving knowledge. Okay, so I want to give knowledge my students. No, it is not teaching, it is not learning, it is not even knowledge. I would say today the education has become giving wisdom to our students. Our students should be good, our students should be wise. That is what it is. It is the most important pattern of education, or that is a role of education today. Now I would say our students have been relieved from the four concrete halls or the concrete jungles of the universities, and they can sit anywhere and they can learn anywhere. But coming to the medical education, of course, it is not possible to study all these things by sitting at home. You need to see a patient. What we call in the medical education, we say it is basically like taking history. Of course, that's the first part of it, like what's called as you taking the history of the patient, and most of the diagnosis is done by taking the history. 99% of the diagnosis is done by taking a history. So we have got what is called as online consultation. The students can see any patient by a video, but the student can talk to any patient over a video. So the history taking gives a lot of information, and you can come to a conclusion on the diagnosis. But the other parts, like and the second part comes to inspection. You want to see the patient. You can see the patient over a phone. You can see the patient over a computer. But the 3, 4, 5 parts, that is what is called as palpation, that is feeling the patient, or auscultation, or percussion. These are the things which you will not be able to do over the phone or over online education systems, for which we need to have the patient, to see the patient, to touch the patient, and auscultate the patient. Of course, we have been trailing behind in this particular part of education, but it is only for the last 2 months. Again, our students will come back, but most of the postgraduates, I would like to say, they are always in the hospital, because the hospitals cannot be closed down. All our hospitals are open, and the doctors who are doing a postgraduate education in our university and most of the other universities are always visiting the hospital. They are not inside the home or not inside a place doing online education. So coming to this basic introduction of what is education, as well as the medical field is considered, I would like to now say what is a technology. Okay. Now coming to the technology part of it, I would love to say, who knows this technology very well, whether the student knows the technology very well or the teacher knows the technology very well. And if you ask that question to me, I would always say the student knows much more technology than the faculty today. That is without any bias. I would like to say that, if you give a telephone, if you give a mobile phone, if you give a computer, your student can do much more technology than your faculty members. That is very, very important point to be conveyed here. So you don't have any restriction for a student to go through any subject he wants to learn. So it is a learner-centric education, which is very, very important. So today we have shifted our education from classroom to the home. We have shifted our education from teaching to learning. We have shifted our education from covering the syllabus to uncovering the syllabus. You need not cover the syllabus at all. Don't cover the syllabus. Higher education students don't need any syllabus at all. They know what is the syllabus. You need to guide them. You need to uncover the syllabus. Come on, you have got this particular question. I would say, if I'm taking a class on cardiovascular system, how the heart functions, I'll ask a question to a student, do you know how the heart functions? That is only one thing is enough for my student to learn everything about the heart. I need not say the heart has got 4 chambers, the atria, ventricle, the atria will contract, this will contract. All these things are not necessary, because my student is much more intelligent than me. I have got the intelligence as far as the experience is considered. So these are 2 things. And also I would like to say that the most important part of education is increase the intellectual energy of the student, not just giving one-way talks. That is not at all important for a higher education student. Now, in our technology part of it, what are the technology? Technology in education just doesn't mean that smartphone, computer, Google education, that education, this education. No, not at all. That technology, you need not worry about that technology, because the student knows much more than about this technology. What is a technology? We can talk about smartphones, we can talk about podcast, we can talk about webinars, all those things that student knows very well. What is most important technology is making him to learn much better, or guiding him, or enhancing the intellectual energy of the student. Now, the most important technology here is what we use utilize in our university is what is called the answer first and discuss next methodology. Okay, we don't give it a subject. We'll ask them to read the subject at home, and when they come back to the class or when they come for the webinar, we start asking them the questions. We ask the questions first. Okay, all the students will read, they'll come to the classroom or to the webinar, and we ask them questions in the beginning of the classroom. 10 questions are asked, and after that all students will write the answers or they will tell the answers, and the faculty member has to take the class as per the questions which is asked by the faculty member. So this avoids the routine PPT. You know, PPT is a curse for higher education. Okay, and we have seen the faculty members just putting the PPT on the blackboard or the computer and taking rest. Okay, and those PPTs would have been prepared at least 10 years ago or something. I'm not telling all the staff members. So PPT is a curse. So what we do, we ask the questions to the students in the beginning of the class, and we take each question and answer, and we highlight on the answer whether it is right or wrong, why it is wrong, why it is right, and how much the student can add on to that. So this is what is called answer first and discuss next methodology, number one. Number two, we need to, if I tell you, we need to enhance the intellectual energy of the student. Means what we need to, it is easy to say, enhance the intellectual energy. How do you enhance the intellectual energy of the student? It is very, very important. Give him the responsibility. The moment you give the responsibility to the student, immediately it will enhance the intellectual energy. Like instead of I taking the class, I ask the student to take the class. If I have to say the system of how the brain functions, I'll ask the student to learn and come, and I'll ask him to take the class. When I do it, he learns. It is very well told in a proverb that means if you read, you forget. If you write, you remember. If you do, you know. That is very important. So make the students do something. Make the students to do seminars, make the students to take classes, the senior students either teaching the junior students or the senior students going to small, the classrooms. I have discussed last time with Bharatlal Meena sir that our engineering students will go to higher education centers or high schools and take classes on electricity and power, whatever it is. So when you teach, you learn more. So what I would like to say in this brief introduction is this is not the technology. Of course, technology is important. I am not against technology, but the technology should come from within. The days where we used to force for attendance, that is completely gone. You cannot force your student on attendance. That is gone 70%, 80%. If the students are not attending your class, who is responsible? The faculty member is responsible, not the student. If your classrooms are not good, why the student will attend? So that compulsion on attendance has disappeared. The compulsion on marks also has disappeared, because now what will happen because of the online education is the student can go to any webinar, take the certificate. So I have this certificate on healthcare. I have the certificate on cardiovascular functioning. I have the certificate on how to treat a patient, and I show the certificates, and I finally get the degree certificate because of a certificate value of the certificate which are done on online courses. That is very important. So these are the things I would like to say. So overall, it is a student, which is becoming much more important. The learner becomes much more than important than the teacher. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Dr. Balakrishna Shetty ji, for the wonderful talk, sir. So you enlightened us with a lot of points. I mean, which can be taken as a learning into every space. How the education system has moved from a teacher-centric to a learner-centric system. So you also highlighted how the availability of content has been decentralized with the advancement of mobile technology. So, and also your point on the positive areas and also the areas of opportunities of technology in medical education space is something which we can take a note of and develop something new. So also, I think, sir, a very important point was last week we had one of the speakers who mentioned we must not confine our children or students to the learnings of our age because they were born in a new era. So you mentioned that students know more about technology. So, I mean, in my personal experience, one of the students of Best Innovation University had explained to me what is shutter speed and what is aperture rate in a digital camera. That was really inspiring for me to learn. And sir, one of the most important point which I took forward was moving ahead of the PPT system, right? Throwing the PPT, that's a very important call by you, sir. I would like to mention that our technology partner, MFACE, has enabled an audience response system which can be leveraged by any institution, where learning levels of the students can be captured in a real time and analytics can be generated for a better understanding. Thank you very much, Dr. B.P. Shetty, sir, for the wonderful message. I'm sure the learnings will be taken forward in form of documentation, and the worldwide people will develop solutions based on your recommendation. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I would like to mention that Dr. S.P. Tiwari ji, the Vice Chancellor of NDVS University, is having some technical difficulties and unable to join us. We will wait for him to join while we move on to the next speaker for the day. We have the next speaker, Professor Rajesh Kumar, a well-known academician and a social media activist from Karnataka. Mr. Rajesh Kumar is a lecturer by profession and is a Bangalore-based social activist and social media enthusiast. He has 15 years of teaching and creative teaching skills. He has trained more than 5,000 students for CET and other medical entrance examinations for different states in India and abroad. He is the founder and state president of Namaste India. He is also founder of founder trustee of Samartha Bharata, a Bangalore-based NGO, and also a former secretary of Science Forum University, College Mangaluru. I would request Professor Rajesh Kumar ji to address the conference.
Thank you, Shazil. Hope I am audible, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Dr. Rupa and all other faculty members, especially Dr. Bharatlal Minaji. So, in this particular panel, I would like to put some views on what is happening currently. Though I am not a technology-based person, I am a teacher. I know the difficulty what few of the teachers are facing, while majority of the teachers are shifted already into the online education. They have transformed themselves from a blackboard teaching-centric mechanism to the digital platformed online mechanism. So as we know that India is one of the largest country with the student population. If you take any data from any particular country, the highest student population is in India. Even few of Indian students are in abroad in different other universities, but even some other Western students also there in India. Some students from Eastern countries also, from South Asian nations, for example, Taiwan, Indonesia, even Thailand, Hong Kong. Such students are also studying in India. So if you take by and large, India is having a large number of youth population, especially the student population, they are studying. And if you take the school education, of course, we are leading in the world. So having said that, during Corona lockdown, every sector of the society was affected, including the field like education. So far, India was following the conventional mode of education by the classroom studies. It was classroom centric, even the teacher centric also, though the Indian education has been shifting from teachers to student, as Dr. Balakrishna Shetty sir is told. But majority of Indian education system, if you take school and college both, they were classroom centric only. Student used to come to the classroom, they were attending the classes, the teacher used to take the class, take the attendance, and they used to go back. But when even in Karnataka, even in other states, when the lockdown was declared by different chief minister and also by the prime minister, the whole education system was restricted to online. And today also we are having the online classes in different formats. By and large, Indian society is dynamic in its nature, in the sense whenever there is a call for a transformation, Indian education system as well as the common Indian, they are showing a kind of affiliation to the dynamicity. If you are asked to change something, they are changing. Go and make Aadhaar card, they will change. They will make Aadhaar card. The digitalization of the bank accounts, the transaction digitally, no cash transaction personally. So all these things, digitalization in India, because of the request of the government and other different forums, was turned fruitfully. Even for the education, everybody asked for the students also, for the faculties also, even for other groups also, to come online, to have the digital platform to use for the educational purposes. So the shift from the conventional chalk and talk mechanism to the digital screen was widely accepted, and everybody accepted this particular change. Some are accepted with the happiness, some with the murmur, some accepted with, of course, there is no other way to go, there is no alternative. But whatever it is, there is a shift in Indian education system in all different classes from the classroom to the digital platforms. And most of the educational institute, they are on the verge of finishing some of the syllabus through the online courses itself. So if you remember way back in 2008, 12 years back, the Aditya Birla Group, they came with an advertisement in television while the superstar Abhishek Bachchan, he came with an idea. Of course, he was one of the actor in that particular ad, and he was saying that if you have a mobile phone with Idea SIM and with the internet connection, you can reach a distant place. We can reach a remote students. They can't come to the school. They can't afford the higher education because of so many social scenarios and social barriers. There are single teacher schools. They're taking classes under a tree. They're taking classes in a bus stand. They're taking a class in a small sheltered area. So in such a rural area, remote place, we, the idea, Aditya Birla Group, can transform through education by a single teacher sitting in some other places. The teacher used to say good morning. The children from a far area, they used to say good morning. The teacher used to teach mathematics. The teacher used to say A for apple, B for something. So likewise, the ad was going on, and that at the end, Abhishek Bachchan, as an actor, used to say, "What an idea, Sirji!" And it was in 2008, and everybody was laughing. "Arey, ye kya ho sakta hai kya? This is just a strategy to mobilize their mobile SIM." But after 12 years, of course, from that era to now, the smartphones have developed, so many video apps have developed, the things are different. But the call to change the education system, maybe because of mobile technology and the smartphone technology, today it is a reality. We are reaching the remotest places. Of course, there are barriers, there are internet connection issues, there are some other gadget related issues. But by and large, we are reaching the online system or reaching the digital platform through this. So what I mean to say is the unprecedented situations will demand unprecedented solution also. It will bring some unprecedented challenges and opportunities equally. So our society, as I told earlier, is a dynamic society. In our local language, it is called Chalanashila, means it's transforming, it's moving. By the name itself, Jagat. Gat means Gati, meaning moving. The society is moving. Only thing is there should be a situation by which the things could be demanded. Of course, that's why there is a huge shift from the classroom system to the digital platform, and it is accepted. And it was very smooth transition also. Within 1 week or within 10 days, the whole system got changed. Initially, Indian teachers thought that online education means it is happening in some Western universities, in some big colleges. Then the teachers realized, I can be an online teacher just by my mobile phone, what I am having so far. I used to make WhatsApp calls, I used to make the other calls, I used to see the TikTok videos and all. The same mobile phone will make me an online teacher. I can reach my student through this. No extra device is needed. So the main requirement was the mindset. Mindset was the key. So Indian teachers or our system requires a technology-friendly mindset. That is the need of the hour. There should not be any other barrier. I can do it. I will do it. I'll be a good online teacher. I can teach my student regularly in the online platform. That should be the spirit of the teacher. Of course, there are a few problems, as I told, in the rural areas where the connectivity is a problem, device is a problem. Those students who already reach their houses with the smartphone what they are having, they never thought that the online classes will come. Suddenly it came. But the kind of smartphone they are having, everybody are not having the same thing. For example, there are some conversion tools are required. For example, Office Suite, it is there in some phones in OnePlus, 1.7 or 1.8. It is not there in other Redmi or some other things. They have to purchase it. So there are some in-common incompatibility of software issues. Some PPT, if you record with the OIS, it is not opening in some. So there are minor technical issues. Apart from that, everybody is happy. Everybody is reachable. The Zoom, the Cisco WebEx, the other different platforms by which the teacher is there with them. So the mindset of the teacher as well as the student, as I told, it should be technology friendly, and the things are moving. But the problem is not for online teaching. The problem itself is online examination. How we will conduct the online exams? Not even a single system of the entire education. If you take all stakeholders of the education, students are not ready, teachers are not ready for online examination, institutes are not ready for online examinations. Even the government system is not equipped very well for the online examination system. So we can go on teaching, but how long? It's already 2 months and this is the 3rd month. And what about the examinations? Few conducted some examination online, but the question of the promptness, the sincerity, the leakage issues, everything is there. But by and large, some people close their eyes and they conducted online examination or, But even to be very frank, conducting online examination is a big challenge now. As far as Karnataka or some other states are concerned, we are already knowing that the school education system is very much affected. And of course, very much affected is the lower primary and some of the other form of education like pre-KG, LKG, UKG, class 1, class 2. And these courses may not be there for next 2 to 3 months. That's what few are saying. So in that case, some schools are offering online education, but even the report from the National Institute of Mental Health and Neurological Science, NIMHANS, and some other educationists, they're also saying that the online education will impact the learning capacity. There will be some emotional disturbances. There will be some other issues on the growing brain. That's why the online classes, especially for the younger kids, are not advisable. That was a report by the NIMHANS expert panel in psychiatry and some other departments. So the courses future, the online courses are to whom? Only for the college students or not? That's a big question ahead of us. And we know that overall the passing of information itself is very easy in different platforms. That's why there are 2 types of education. We know one is the formal education with the degree and with the certificate oriented, given by universities and all. But there is another very important set of education, just like the informal education, anaupacharik shikshan we call. So this informal education itself is gaining an upper hand over, I can say, the formal education. For example, the formal education, the students and teachers, they are attending the classes for a few hours of a day. But by and large, they are undergoing the informal education in different fields. In history, in science, in non-academic subject like even for cooking also, food, diet, medicine, sports and everything. Many learned how to cook in the online courses during this lockdown. Many people learned history also. For example, day before yesterday and today, there is a huge controversial debate is going on Swatantra Veera Vinayak Damodar Savarkar in Karnataka. So many students who are having the background of science and all, they got to know about Veera Savarkar because of the digital platform, because of this online content available. They have never studied Savarkar so deeply in their high school studies. So what an history textbook say, what a history teacher can make the student understand, 100 or 1,000 times more the contents are available online. So digital education informally. Maybe in history, as I told about Ambedkar, about Savarkar, about historical issues, about the financial things. What an economic student studying in a degree level or an economy class, 100 times greater he is studying online. What Nirmala Sitharaman, our finance minister says, what the RBI governor says, what are the new many things are studied by the students, by the general public, by academicians, by even a math teacher can study economy, and economic students can study sports. So there are some interdisciplinary benefits of this digital education. As Balakrishna sir already told that it has no boundary. Anybody can learn. So there are certain issues of this digital education also, as few of the panelists are again mentioned. the knowledge can be transferred, but what about the skill? Especially as Sir told, how about a medical student? A medical student cannot understand everything online. He can understand a few of the contents. The knowledge part is okay, but what about the skill part? What about the values part? A teacher is also not just a transmitter of an education, not just transmitter of information. He is also a guru. He also has got a role of molding a student with good values, good virtues, right? So making a student not just scoring 100 out of 100, a good student with good ethics, an honest student, a student who can always say truth. For example, as a teacher, if you ask me what kind of student I want, I won't say that a student who goes 100 to 100% in my subject. I'll say a student who never lies, who says always truth. I want a student who is always honest. I want a student who is always loving others. So such kind of values, how we can inculcate? That is a question on this particular online education. That's why in our Indian scripture, one of the very famous Shastra is Yoga Vasishtha. You may be heard of. In Yoga Vasishtha, there are two important things mentioning. One is called Jnana, one is called Kriya, knowledge and action. This knowledge and action both should go simultaneously, hand in hand, just like two wings of a same bird. If both the wings are going in different direction, different speed, different speed also, there will be huge imbalance. That's why both knowledge and action, Kriya and Jnana, that should go together. The content part, the knowledge part, and its dissemination into action, into implementation, that should go hand in hand. Otherwise, there won't be a proper balance. Imbalance will be there. The bird can't fly. The bird cannot find its route. The bird can't reach its goal. That's why we need to find this whole destiny or the aim of education to reach up to a certain end through this particular, by channels. Knowledge is one side and dissemination is one other side. That's why we can't find all the time the online is alternative. Of course, I always support digital education. I wish the government and the education system should adopt the online education, the so-called digital system, as I told, but there are some limitation also that we need to sort it out very quickly. There are issues related to the video conference apps. As Sir told yesterday, Balakrishna Sir told that we need a well-equipped app for the video conferencing that so many technologies are finding difficult, so that no other platform, for example, Zoom is studied, Cisco Web is studied, and everybody are using, but no one is totally happy about the video conferencing app. So for the teaching system by which so many millions of students are reaching, the app properly is a very important part. The training of the teacher also, all teachers are not very well equipped to the digital skills. The skill of blackboard teaching is different. Skill of the online teaching is different. The online modulation, the voice changing, the way you have to communicate to the student online is totally different. So there are some limitations. Of course, I believe that we will sort it out in the coming days, and the teacher training programs will be organized by the government and the respected universities and educational department. Only thing is we have to fit into the new challenges and new solutions also we have to find. So we have got a bright future for the digital online system in the field of education. And I wish like universities like Best University, they are doing their best. They are reaching the academicians. They are organizing these webinar kind of the things so that there is a brainstorming that is continuously can be done. That's why I congratulate each and everyone in the Best University, Dr. Rupa, and every other staff members for organizing such a wonderful webinar. And I thank you each and everyone. Namaskar.
Thank you, Sri Rajesh Kumar. So you highlighted a teacher's perspective on the adoption of technology. You mentioned you started by saying how India has been pioneer in accepting changes from the Aadhaar card to the banking system. And also you mentioned an interesting story of how one teacher can reach out to a large audience using a mobile network. An idea that was considered marketing gimmick 12 years ago is a reality today. All I would like to say is an idea can change your life, and what an idea, Sirji. And also, sir, I think you mentioned that Indian teachers need to have a technology-friendly mindset. I think I have mentioned this before, but we should always take example from our leader, the Honorable Prime Minister, who's been a pioneer in accepting technology, one of the largely followed political leaders on Twitter. He's so active digitally. I think we can take a cue from there. Also, your points about how the mental health issues of the student in the due to technology exposure is very important point which needs to be looked into. I would like to highlight that the Best Innovation University has been very happy to be associated with organizations such as Disha Bharat that address students on culture, relieving stress, breathing exercises, and also conduct fun sessions to ensure that their mind is always fresh in this digital exposure space. Thank you very much, Professor Rajesh Kumar-ji, for this wonderful address. On that note, I would like to invite our next speaker, Mr. Martin Jacobson, the founder and CEO of Supertext and SMS Group Sweden. Supergroup is his third technology company. So Martin guides product development and technology and marketing and helps establishing partnership with operators. Martin holds a Master of Science in Molecular Biotechnology from Royal Institute of Technology and also a Master of Science in Business and Administration from Stockholm University. He was previously with McKinsey and Company. Martin has a strong interest in technology and science. I think this would be the ideal audience, sir, for you to enlighten us about technology adoption and education. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much for such a warm and exhaustive introduction. I feel, and thank you so much, all educators and professors, for letting me join this fantastic conference. I feel so inspired to hear you talk about education and the future of education. I think we need you in Sweden also. I am an entrepreneur, a technologist, as you say, a computer geek at heart. Today, I think I must mention that one of my dreams is to start a school for gifted kids. Right now, I'm working, building my company. It's the third company I've started. It's called Supertext. We're building a communications platform, a social media that works without the internet, with the internet and without the internet. Today in the world, we have, I think, 2.8 billion people with no internet or very low connectivity. It's easy for us that live in the rich world to think about in the big cities how we all have internet like running water, but we move outside, the challenges are much more diverse and the digital divide is massive. So again, thank you so much for having me here. I was thinking I could talk a little bit about my company and what we do as an inspiration to you. I feel very humbled in such an esteemed audience today. So I will turn on my screen sharing. Oh, this menu has changed. Technology moves quickly. That's wonderful. So I'm from Sweden. I currently live in Indonesia. And I'm from Stockholm, and you guys might be familiar with Stockholm. Last year it was called the Unicorn Capital of Europe. In Stockholm we have 1.5 million people approximately, and we have now, I think, 15 or 16 unicorns started in Stockholm. Many of these started by my friends from my university. I started my company, Supertext, which I will talk about today, in Stockholm, and then moved to Indonesia because I believe in Asia is where the future is. Supertext is a chat communication platform that works for everyone, everywhere, instantly. Our mission is to bridge the digital divide and support communities across the world. Now we're focusing on Indonesia as our core market, so it's across the Indonesian archipelago. In the Indonesian archipelago, I by accident stumbled on a database of base stations, and here my colleague rendered the base stations across Indonesia. And the green ones, they're the 2G, not 2G edge, but really 2G. This is GSM, it means SMS and voice. And the red ones is where you have Wi-Fi, 4G, internet. Of course, you have Wi-Fi elsewhere, but Wi-Fi is very limited, or broadband is very limited in Indonesia. And the challenge of Indonesia and many countries similar to Indonesia is that the infrastructure is very expensive to provide in complex geographies and in low population densities. If it's a less wealthy country and you have low population density, it becomes a negative investment for the communications industry to provide connectivity. So this is a challenge in the world, and this is maybe it's a little bit old, this map, maybe it's 1.5 years old, but it gives an idea of the challenges faced by many countries across the world. So our product, what we do, is an app that works without a smartphone, with or without the internet for communication. This is something we provide in partnership with the GSM operators. It's my patented innovation. This, when we started it, we didn't really understand it. I was just doing something because I thought it was a cool innovation. I wanted to bring it out. But step by step, I understand we're really helping people by bridging the digital divide and providing communication for the next billion coming online. Today, we have many millions of users in Indonesia, also in some other countries, but we're focusing on Indonesia. People using this in the work context of work, housewives, friends, family. We interview our users. We realize we have army using this. We have the police using this to coordinate, traders, builders. It's used all across society, and that's because communication is essential to society. Communication is the difference between being an animal living alone in the forest and being a human being as part of society. And now in the digital world, we're actually changing what it means to be human by making communication possible without meeting anyone. Today, with the wall of the corona separating us from all our friends and family and loved ones, communication is more important than ever. And being part of bridging that divide, also in the rural areas, also for the people that don't have, the people that cannot afford or live in the wrong area, that is my dream and vision. In Indonesia, I give you an example of the application of this technology. Malaria is still a big problem in rural Indonesia. This is from last year, an article from The Lancet, where we can see in the red areas, malaria has increased. In the green areas, it's certified as malaria eliminated. And every year during Ramadan, people travel everywhere. So you have malaria outbreaks all across the country, also in the capital, because people travel. What we see here is in the West Papua, we have an incidence that's estimated between 1 to 10% of the population, which is quite high in some areas, I think. So we offer the SuperText platform as a tool to support the doctors and the healthcare system in improving their coordination, communication, and education in Papua. And here is some my colleagues actually on Indonesian television explaining this, which is, of course, as a small startup coming from Stockholm, this is very exciting for us. So we are supporting them in the response. I think it was 1.5 years ago, it was a big tragedy with a measles outbreak and malnutrition due to low education in the rural communities, where they give babies sugar and many strange things happen due to low awareness. So this is something we work to support. Here is an example of how we use our technology to transfer images of malaria blood samples without internet. So imagine you're out in the jungle. You have 3 days of travel to get to the hospital, and you're a nurse. You're sitting there with a 10-year-old girl with 40 degrees of fever, and you can check the blood. You see it in the microscope, but it's very hard to know which type of malaria is it, and you cannot put the medicine until you know which of the 5 types of malaria it is. You have 3 days of travel to go to the city and go back to ask the parasitologist. In this case, communication is very, very valuable. And for us to be able to support the institution in Indonesia with communication, yeah, that's very cool, I think. Now in the Corona, I recently developed a chatbot to support with the COVID-19 information education to people. And what we did was, we don't have the information, we can just be a facilitating channel. But since this works on old phones, this works without the internet, we're able to support the responsible people, the epidemiologists, the government, the doctors, in reducing the hoaxes, in reducing the rumors by providing a channel of certain information. In Indonesia, you have approximately 300 languages, and the language Indonesian is like the Esperanto of Indonesia. Maybe, I'm sorry, I'm not so familiar with India, but I suspect English fills a similar role in India. And that means that if you really want to reach the rural communities, being able to speak the local languages, or in this case, a chatbot, the local languages, really increases the ability to make people listen to you. Some other examples, we're working with the Scout Association, which is quite large in Indonesia. They have 23 million scouts, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, across the nation. This is the largest Scout association in the world, I believe. Maybe India has a larger one I'm not aware of. And we're working together with the founder of the Scout Association, the king, the Sultan of Yogyakarta of Java. And what we're doing there is we're helping create a social media channel to reach these kids across suburban and rural Indonesia. And by that, providing a channel for hygiene education, sanitation education. There has been talk about sexual education. I don't know if that will happen. We'll see if it comes through. I guess that's a very sensitive topic in the world's largest Muslim communities. Our platform is also being used to support smart farming. We're providing real-time prices for free without internet, a channel for farmer education even without internet access. Where in Indonesia, they have 80,000 full-time government educators whose job it is to support and educate farmers on planting, productivity, sales, pesticide, etc., etc. And we are now, in partnership with government, providing a knowledge channel, a communication channel. It is not very sophisticated. As a Swedish person living in a world of advanced technology, something like this Google Meet technology, video is what I believe we must provide as a future. But at this stage, for the farmers, all we're doing is very simple communication. It's text, it's some images, but that is that human channel of communication and feedback, which is sort of so important. Other examples, in the fisherman maritime community. In Sweden, we have some other examples. We have the voluntary sea rescue teams. In Sweden, we have an archipelago of maybe 40,000 islands, and there are storms. People maybe get drunk on the boat. There are many problems. They need to be rescued. The government does not help with this. It's fully voluntary from the villages along the coastline. And they use us as the infrastructure for communication, because along the coastline in Sweden, the population density is low, so there is very limited internet access. Everyone have a smartphone. That's not internet. Internet is to have a base station that gives internet to your smartphone and being able to afford to access this. So in Sweden, Supertext provides this communication layer to support them, and being able to do that can reduce the response time from 10 minutes to 1 minute, and that saves lives. So that's also very exciting for us. We're also working with an organization called Missing People in Sweden, Sweden is low population density and very big forests. And every year people get lost and disappear in these forests. So organizing large amount of people and rapidly covering large areas to find these kids and people that get lost, Supertext has become a natural infrastructure in this. So thank you. I just wanted to give you some examples of what we can do with technology in the communication, and bringing this into the topic of education. We're now working on several channels around the education. One is providing video in a customized way. One is providing social media under the umbrella of each university's specific needs. In Indonesia, 90% of the universities are private. And for them, their business is to educate the students, but also to build a community around the university, to bring in new students and to have the alumni guide and help the students through the education and in their careers after education. The community around each university becomes very important. And then Supertext provides an adaptable, adjustable social media. It's like you have your own WhatsApp/Twitter feed sort of thing where you can do your own university thing. So these are the topics of what Supertext is doing. I think providing communication to help stay in touch with our loved ones, being a small contribution in this massive transformation of society we're seeing now. I think coronavirus is terrible, but it's also very exciting to see all this digital stuff we've all been working so hard for in my industry is finally, moving ahead at 10 times the normal speed. And I think this will be a very positive effect to society going forward. So, yeah, thank you very much for letting me speak today.
Thank you very much, Mr. Martin Jacobson, for enlightening us about the various applications of Supertext. I think in the world of education technology, or EdTech as we call it, we have multiple applications where we have 20,000 plus people who have built solution companies. I think Supertext is actually contributing in various ways, such as reaching out and developing solutions in different verticals such as education, healthcare, agriculture, such as your smart farm, and administration with valued responses. So you started by saying we need you in Sweden, right? So we are in Sweden right now with this use of technology, the video conferencing. And so you mentioned how 2.3 billion people across the world have limited or low connectivity. And you elaborated comprehensively with research on how different connectivity levels across Indonesia, and your patented solution has an answer to it using the GSM technology. So I would be honored, and I think you would be happy to learn that MFACE has access to a patented technology that can reach even in areas where there is no GSM. Using using a patented technology, you can stream high quality content to students and over televisions using this technology. So you would be very happy if you can get in touch with you later and discuss this further. Thank you so much. That would be my honor, sir. Thank you so much for giving us the view and the background of Sweden and addressing the conference, sir. And I think Professor Srinath, our next speaker, Professor Srinath Rao, is having some difficulty in connecting. So I would request, now I would like to call upon Shri Manmohan Singh Ji, the retired Special Chief Secretary of the Government of Andhra Pradesh, to provide the concluding remarks for the conference.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Sahil. Now we have come to the end of this session, fifth webinar on technology adoption in education. Really, it was a very wonderful experience today, listening to the eminent speakers. They have covered a wide variety of subjects today where technology can be used. And it was very, very useful for all the participants. Srikant Baldi, who is the now chairman of FARERA, Himachal Pradesh, ex-chief secretary, he has given the background how the technology upgradation has happened in our country and what are the advantages of technology adoption in education. In 15,000 institutions in Himachal Pradesh, they have launched Ghar Ghar Pathsala, Har Ghar Pathsala. And it's really a good model. And we must try to emulate wherever it is possible. So we are really benefited by his experience of Himachal Pradesh. He has also flagged some of the issues like training of teacher, involvement of parents and all that. They're very, very important in online education. So, Baldiji, we really thank you for coming over to our webinar and sharing your experience. Our next eminent speaker, Dr. B.P. Shetty, from medical perspective, he has really touched upon very important subject like information versus wisdom. So today is a learner who is more important, learner-centric education in this digital system of education. He has also pointed out certain problems in professional education like medical science, where content delivery alone is not enough. The patient has to be physically examined. Unless the patient is palpated, touching, or auscultated, or percussion is done, it's very difficult to get the real feel of the problem. Unfortunately, many of the doctors, they are not doing, even if the patient is sitting before them. That is a different scenario, but it's a very important issue in the digital education. And what he has given a new pedagogy that is answer first. So first the student is asked to answer the question, and the teacher will teach according to the question that has been framed. So that is something, a new experience for all of us. And in our best innovation university also, this will be a very relevant way of teaching. Thank you, sir, for attending our webinar and sharing your valuable information and experience. Professor Rajesh Kumar is an academician and social activist. He has touched upon the way the country has adopted, and he has given the word Jagat. Jagat means where there is a motion, there is gati, and India has the capability of adopting to any type of change. So within a week or so from the traditional classroom teaching, India has adopted to distant learning methodology, digital content. So that is a very good thing he has touched upon. And he has also spoken about the problem of rural areas, problem of the children in primary education. But still, he has shown the hope. He has said that there is a bright future for digital education, where not only the content can be delivered, but other variety of interdisciplinary learning is possible. So thank you, Professor Rajesh ji, for accepting our invitation and addressing all of us. Coming to Mr. Martin Jacobson from Sweden, he has really given a very this important concept of bridging the digital divide. In a place like Indonesia, the situation where a large area is without internet, similar situation exists in India, in tribal areas, in remote areas. And without internet connectivity, if you are able to develop a social media, supertext, that is really a great service to society. And that you are using it for agriculture, education, health, and hygiene, sanitation, smart farming, and also in Sweden, tracing the missing people really is a really amazing application of supertext media. And this will be very useful for a country like India, where we are also facing this challenge of low connectivity or no connectivity. So MFAS, as our senior director is saying, even GSM is not necessary. We need to work together, we need to learn from each other and further improve wherever it is possible. So it was a really very good learning experience from all our eminent speakers. I thank all of them for having taken out their time from their busy schedule and attended this webinar and shared their valuable experience. They will be very, very useful for us. We are recording these suggestions and we'll share with the world community. We'll share for the advantage of everyone. I would like to, at the end, thank the chairman of our best innovation universities, Dr. Bharatlal Minaji, and Chancellor Dr. Rupa Vasudevan for organizing this webinar. I also thank our Vice Chancellor who is attending the webinar. I also thank our faculty members, all the participants, as well as the students who are attending this webinar. I'm sure this will be very, very useful to them. And with this, we conclude this 5th webinar on technology adoption in education during this COVID-19 times. So I once again thank all of you for joining in this webinar. Thank you very much. We conclude this webinar now.
Thank you very much for everyone who's been listening to the respected speakers and over online. I'd like to say we will come back with the next part of the webinar on 6th of June, Saturday, 6th of June, 12 p.m. IST to 1:30 p.m. IST. Looking forward till then. Thank you very much for joining and have a nice day. Namaste.
Thank you.